All right, guys, on this episode of Pugliese Speed Shop, we're doing something totally different. We're turning the whole thing over to Kevin. God help us. All right, so you guys know I gotta give Kevin a hard time, right? But truth of the matter is, dude is straight bailing us out right now. Um, so he hits me up yesterday and he says, "Hey, I'm about to do some work on this Roadglide. You want to come record it?" And I said, "Well, we want to document everything because I know you guys want to see it. We want to document everything we're doing on this bike." Well, he's doing on this bike. And I couldn't get over there. So I said, "Man, I don't want to miss it. Can you record it?" And he said, "Well, I'll give it a shot." He did. He sent it over to us like in segments because he was shooting out of town, so couldn't even get with him like to get it off of him. But I think between Kevin's expert-ish recording skills, I mean, he's no better or worse than me, right? And he's probably better than me, actually. And then, the kids editing, I think we're going to put something together pretty good here. So check it out. Let me know what you think.
Okay, good morning. Kevin here. Alternate location for Pugliese's Speed Shop. Chaz is not here because he's doing what Chaz's do, helping somebody out. Had a storm last night, so he's helping somebody remove some limbs from roofs and what you do after a storm. But I told Chaz I was going to do some work to this, and he said he wanted to make sure everything was documented, so this is what I'm going to do today. So in the Harley-Davidson bagger world, there's often talk of what's cost effective for parts and in the aftermarket, and how can we improve performance, and well, I have a part here that I've always said bang for the buck is the best upgrade you can do for your belt driven Harley-Davidson. What it is, it's called a Cush drive by a company called Alloy Art. They make great stuff. Highly recommend them. They don't pay me, so Alloy Art, if you're out there, sponsor me. This is called a Super Cush. Not only has it got a cool name, it's got a pretty cool color. What this is basically an isolator that goes between the sprocket, or the pulley, because it's belt driven, and the wheel. And in a stock application, it's basically rubber. Aftermarket, hard plastic. So what that does is it gives you a better seat of the pants feel when you accelerate. If you're doing stuff like, ripping burnouts or doing some wheelies, and you still have a belt drive, or even if you have a chain drive conversion, this is probably my number one recommendation for bang for the buck performance Harley-Davidson parts. It's like $39. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it anywhere. They basically give these things away. In the stock application, they're rubber, like I said, and they are also a wearable item. And if I remember correctly, Harley says you're supposed to change them every 10,000 miles, which works out to, I think Harley told me it was like a tire and a half. So you're supposed to replace these every other time you change a rear tire anyway. So why not? I mean, for $40, and guess what the stock ones cost? $40. So I mean, it's a no-brainer. So I'm going to take a little video and show you how actually easy it is. It's not hard. You don't need any special components. We just got to remove the back wheel, which you guys know from working on this in the past that you got to take the bags off and you got to take some other things loose. But having my handy stand here, makes it pretty easy. So I'm just going to go through the steps and document as I go, and show you my number one pick for bang for your buck part for your Harley Davidson. Okay, got the main preparatory work done here. I got the bags off, the saddle bags, and the slip-on exhaust. Item of note, the big one is on the right, small one's on the left. For some reason, the fastener on the right is 15 millimeter. The fastener on the left is a 9/16. No idea why. Doesn't make any sense to me, but it's the way it is. One of the quirks of the Harley Davidson, I guess. So, next thing we do, guys, we have to get the wheel off. How we do that is we've got to remove the axle. The axle's got a welded nut on this side. Come to this side over here. It's got a nut with a retainer. I've already removed the retainer. So we're going to spin that off there and push the axle out. And the next time I come back, we will show you the wheel on the ground. All right, as promised, rear wheel removed through the magic of TV. So, sprocket / pulley, whatever you want to call it, wheel. Just give this a little jiggle. Comes right off. Try not to drop it. And here is the stock style cushion mount. I don't know what Harley calls it. I call it a cushion mount. It's gonna fight me. There we go. Stock rubber, very flexible. Hard plastic one. Hardly any flex whatsoever. So that takes up some of the flex when you accelerate hard. More seat of the pants feel as far as acceleration. It's really good when you're ripping burnouts too. Rolling burnouts, it really helps. But it just acts as an isolator between the wheel and between the sprocket. And if you can take up some of that squishiness, that's a technical term, squishiness, well, you get a better performance for 40 bucks. Like a sore Peter, you can't beat it. All right, new one installed, ready to go, right? No. See, there's nowhere to, if you install it like this, there's nowhere to put that keyway in there. I've watched guys fight this for hours. Come on now. Got a keyway on the back. Like this. That's the correct way. Notice. Now you got the 5 slots. For your five slots here. Also notice anti-seize. It'll be all over. Stuff is the devil. All right, wheels back on. A couple of things to make note of. Great time to clean everything while you're in here. Wipe everything down. Because when you get the bags on or everything, you can't get to the swing arm. You can't get to these pieces. You can't get to the wheel very well. So I wipe everything down with a quick spray like Speed Wipe from Chemical Guys. Also sponsor me, Chemical Guys, because it has wax in it. Any Speed Wipe, anything like that'll work. You get a little bit of wax on the wheel and the stuff under here. You get a lot of brake dust, a lot of road grime. So you put a little coat of wax on it, and it's less apt to stick. Easier to keep clean. So anytime you got a wheel off, a couple things to make note of. Make sure you clean everything, like I just said. Make sure everything, when you go back together, has got a thin coat of anti-seize. Thin coat. There's no reason to saturate them or dip them in it. That stuff goes a long way. Also, belt adjustment. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's got a little gauge on it. Anyway, you want to make sure the belt's not too tight. You don't want it to be like a banjo string, but you want it to be snug enough where it's not going to slip too. I think Harley says 1/2 inch up and down total travel for 10 pounds of pressure. And of course, they got a special little gauge for you so you can measure that. I said there was no real special tools. This is a tool I got off Amazon. It's a 36 millimeter. It's made specially for this nut. If you're going to work on your own motorcycle, Harley Davidson bagger type, I recommend one of these because they get in there real tight. They got this neat little hole to put your 3/8 drive on. Because even though Harley says torque this nut to 15 to 20 foot-pounds, I found that 15 to 20 foot-pounds isn't really enough. And I believe Harley believes the same thing because this bike was assembled at the factory and it took me basically hanging on it to get that nut free. So 15 to 20, yeah. Make sure you always follow your torque specs, ladies and gentlemen. So another thing, make sure your spacers are in there correctly. This spacer is actually the wheel speed sensor as well. You want to make sure that's in there correctly. Make sure that cord is not bound up. Make sure your brakes are lined up in there. Everything's hunky-dory. Wiped everything down over here. Everything's sparkly clean. And another thing, look how easy it is to get to your what do we call this? Nipple? Probably like to play with it. But yeah, a lot easier to put air in the tire back here than when it's on the ground with the bag on it. So while you're up here, check the air in the tires. Easy. Work smarter, not harder. All right. We'll get her wrapped up and that'll be it. All right, there she is all wrapped up. Nobody will ever know, except me, because I'm the one riding it. So if I had to put a scale of difficulty on this job, I would say if we put it in a beer, like a 6-pack scale, I'd say this is for us home mechanics in the garage with minimal tools. I'd go with 2 out of 6 beers on the difficulty scale. You got a lift. Doesn't have to be a fancy lift like that. It can be it could be one of these lifts right here, like this Craftsman one. If you got one of those at home and some basic hand tools, yeah, 2 out of 6 beer difficulty scale. Definitely recommend. For 40 bucks and probably 2.5 hours of your time, you really can't beat that for performance enhancing modifications. So if you have any questions, by all means, ask me, ask Chaz. Glad to help.
So what do you guys think? I mean, dollars to donuts, you can't beat it, right? I mean, that's a saying, right? I'm going to use that one instead of Kevin's analogy because, you know. But seriously, for 40 bucks and 2 hours of work or whatever it was, right? Can't beat it. I got one in my Roadglide there. I changed it out at Kevin's recommendation when I put tires on it last year. And totally felt the difference in it. You know, I mean, you're not making more power. You're not getting crazy with it. I mean, and that bike, I mean, it's a 114, right? So I got, what I got on that thing? I got a tuner or 2, whatever Harley makes you put on it to change your intake and exhaust. And that's about it. Stock 114 other than that. I rode the bike for about 2 years-ish before I swapped tires. When I put new tires on it, I did that Cush drive, and I'm going to tell you what, it was almost like, let me think of a car comparison here. Like when you swap her end gears, right? You're not making any more power, but you feel like you are. It's more responsive. It's worth it. Especially since it's a normal wear item and you got to swap it out anyways. Get it done. So I think Kevin did a bang up job. In fact, I think I need to step up my game before I'm out of a job here, right? Can I get fired for my own? Let's not find out. But hopefully you guys dug it. Kevin, appreciate it, man. Like I said, you bailed us out and definitely put up some quality content there that I think anybody with new Harley bagger, they definitely should be in the market for. So look into it. Till then, guys, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, tell a friend, and as always, thanks for watching.